Paul McCartney and Pipes of Peace. It is Radio 2, and we're playing that for James Dean Bradfield, who is with us right now. I hadn't realised that you liked that record, that you'd interviewed Paul McCartney.
Prescient song for the times, come on.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I was a member of the, record club when I was young, and of course I was just kind of getting into a lot of really obscure indie, but I was still on the fringes of what was in the charts and stuff, and but it was quite a limited choice, so I remember ordering Seven the Ragged Tiger by Duran Duran and Pipes of Peace because I kind of liked the song. And I dug the album, man.
But then you went on to interview him, and you were talking about Pipes of Peace, about the album.
Well, come on, let's be brutally honest about why I interviewed him. I was the only person that put my hand above the parapet and said I liked the record. And I'd said it when we supported him in Cardiff, and he gave me a funny look there, and I was like, oh yeah. Everybody else was like, oh yeah, Abbey Road, Revolver, and I was like, I really like Pipes of Peace.
And he said, are you taking the mickey, right?
He kind of looked at me like, sideways, and was just like, you taking the mick, la? kind of thing. But he didn't say that. But of course, like a year later, he kind of remembered that I'd said that. So.
But you did talk, because I read the chat that you did with him, and you talked about what it did mean to you, actually, to have someone, because you said it was quite a vulnerable kind of record, the lyrics that he was writing about, and that kind of, you related to that.
It was just quite surprising that kind of like, obviously, already then, he was just like, an absolutely kind of transcendental icon of music, and that was, that's in the 80s. And to see the lyrics were so vulnerable, to actually believe that, somebody that had so much reputation, so much power, so much legend, so much living myth could feel that vulnerable was kind of quite encouraging, really. You
said you had a lot of confidence issues at that age. You were what?
Well,
10, 11, 12?
I think I was just being a bit of a wet wipe, really. It's kind of,
It's all right, you can have confidence issues. Because all I was thinking, I can't believe the difference of that child that you must have been then to when I first met you and when you first came out and you were like this raging, angry rock god.
Well, I think that's the trick of being in a band, isn't it? It turns you into someone else, when you're on stage especially. And when you're on the promo trail, you kind of feel as if you got a protective coat, somewhat. But when you're out of the band, when the band's inactive, you feel as if you're kind of always touching kryptonite all the time, especially when you're younger. Obviously you grow up and you learn how to deal with all that. But I was just a really, very, very small kind of runtish kid, with a patch on my one eye and a pair of NHS specs over the top.
Oh, did they hook around your ears? Were they those
no,
ones?
not quite. But kind of like, and it was a...
Did you get bullied?
Oh yeah, terribly, yeah. But look, this is not. I am not looking for any kind of sympathy. It was actually kind of like it was just mini rugby sorted me out. I went and started playing mini rugby, and it was my dad. My dad encouraged me to take up rugby, so that sorted me out, really.
Changed your life. I know you're not going for sympathy. It's just interesting. I didn't actually know this about you at all.
Yeah, but I don't see it as I don't see it as like it is not my backstory. It's not the reason why I go in a band. I just go in a band because I love music, really.
All right, let's have some music then. We're going to be talking about the new album, and I love this song from the album, I really do. This is a current single, it's called Distant Colours, from the new album from Manic Street Preachers.
Say what you want, break my heart 1,000 times, but it's still right here. All you left me was lies. Let the banners unfold, let them fall to the floor. We once had each other, but now we're not so sure. Are we living in the past, where there's nothing left to fear? Won't you see that you love me? Tell me what I wanna hear. I call a war for the minds and colors still bleeding, a broken promise for the soul, never loving, never healing. I no longer know my left from my right, between your hopes and fears, and my choice to decide. So say what you want, or break my heart 1,000 times, but it still rights you. Will we ever survive? Are we living in the past, where there's nothing left to fear? Won't you see that you love me? Tell me what I wanna hear. I can't work for the mind. My distant colors still bleeding. A broken promise for the soul. Never loving, never healing. Never ever healing. My distant colors still bleeding. Are we living in the past, where there's nothing left to fear? Won't you say that you love me? Tell me what I wanna hear. I can't wait for the mind. My distant colors still bleeding. A broken promise for the soul. Never loving, never healing.
From the album Resistance is Futile, James Dean Bradfield, and that was Distant Colours, which is the current single from that album. How are you feeling about the record coming out, really?
It's always like kind of the scary time, isn't it? It's been a while doing a record, and it was quite a protracted time doing the record because we had to close down our studio in Cardiff, then find
You had to
another
build
studio,
a new one, didn't
and
you?
build a new one.
Yeah, you must. Were you the project manager?
Kind of Nick is kind of BS'd that I was kind of thing. That I was in some kind of like cut price version of Grand Designs, like Kevin MacLeod. We just had to find another place, and we'd started the record, then we had to stop for a year. So
Was that good? Was it a positive thing, or was it negative?
I don't think so. I think once you've gotten going, I don't think it's ever good to just stop.
So what problems did it cause?
I don't know, because I think you just lose your judgment. Once you start getting some kind of momentum, you kind of start getting some kind of sixth sense, and you start thinking, like, you start being able to judge yourself, because you're in amongst it. And then when you stop all that, you just lose momentum, So we just had to kind of just get back in the game, I suppose.
Yeah, so it was just problematic, I suppose.
It was, yes. It was,
Yeah, I was going to say that must be a lovely bubble. And before you release it to everybody else, it's quite nice when it's your own thing that, presume you're really happy with.
Yeah, and then you kind of suddenly you hear other judgments coming in. It's kind of your bubble gets broken because you're all sat there choosing singles. You're all sat there just saying, "Oh, this would sound good on radio," or "This might become a favorite album track," and you're all in this little bubble, and then that just gets pricked by kind of like public opinion or journalistic opinion, and you realise you got to go out there into the wider world, and you live or die by it, I suppose.
It's enough to drive someone insane.
We've always had a really strange sense of ambition and just being competitive, which kind of can sometimes leave you very disappointed in your own results commercially. And look, we've been doing this for a long time. We just have. It's our 13th album, and we've had number ones, we've had number twos, we've had no threes, fours. We've had them all. So it is what it is. It's cool, so at least we're only ever disappointed by the standards that we set ourselves, I suppose.
So the motivation for making another album, for still keeping on going, is what?
I don't know. We're just releasing a new one. I'm not quite sure. It's always kind of the idea of just writing another song. It's always the idea of Nick picking up a thread of something new, within the lyrics, and just trying to tap into that, and then seeing what myself and Sean do with it, and then suddenly you've got a little spindly demo, and then you go into the studio one day, and suddenly the band are going to play it, and it goes somewhere else, and it's just that journey of a song.
And that magic moment when you feel like it's working.
I know it sounds slightly corny, but just the actual, I still get excited about what will Sean do on this, what will Nick think of this, even sometimes what would Richey think of this, all that is still exciting. I'm still excited to be in a band with them as musicians, I suppose.
Yeah, because so Richey is still an ever-present
not
force,
ever
or just
present.
okay.
Not ever present, but kind of
you're conscious.
Sometimes you could definitely pick up the strand of a song or the strand of an album which you could see that he would have tapped into, definitely. Like, say, on this record, it would have been a song called Sequel of Forgotten Wars, or a song called The Left Behind, you know, he would have perhaps liked those songs. And that's just because you have a lot of downtime in the band in between recording and touring. Sometimes you just sat upstairs watching TV and you're just like, you know, you're just saying stuff to each other, you know.
So the friendships are as strong now as they ever were.
They're strong, but kind of like sometimes spiky.
What was the last row that you had? And who argues? What's the tension? What's the dynamic?
Oh God, you want to know where all the body's buried, don't you?
Yeah, totally.
I think me and Sean have one barnstorming argument every round about 8 to 10 years.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like, you know, it's like a bad winter when it happens. But I think, you know, look, our mothers were really close. You know, they were our mother's sisters, and they were very close sisters. I think myself and Sean have learnt lessons from not what to do compared to what our mothers used to do. And, you know, they'd have an argument, they wouldn't speak to each other for a month. And of course, they adored and loved each other, but because they were really close. You know, sometimes, you know, kind of a hell would freeze over and somebody would have to thaw. So me and Sean have learnt lessons from that. And it's all kind of funny family history. You know, none of it is ever toxic. But when something builds up, then it's a bad one between me and Sean. And we had one on this record, yes.
Oh, did you? What about?
Did, yes. That rubbish.
About
me
a song
rushing,
or just
about me rushing him, about me hectoring him and saying, come on, the drum track's got to be done today. It's got to be done today. And it'd been building up. I could tell from his body language kind of thing.
And there was an eruption.
Yeah. I think the engineer might have recorded it, actually, the argument. So, no, it's kind of like, you know, it's funny and it's no big deal. And then I think, you know, sometimes Nick and Sean treat me like the errant child. You know, sometimes they're like, come on, we got to do this. Come on, we got to do that. Come on, we got to finish this track today. And they're a bit more calm. They're kind of constantly rolling their eyes like Hong Kong Fooey's cat. Kind of like, oh, God, he's off again. And then sometimes Nick is just, you know, he's like a Gatling gun of just pure negative expression.
Which must be a joy to be around.
You know, when he's having a bad day.
Oh my God, bemoaning.
When nothing in sport or politics or general culture itself has pleased him, then kind of he takes aim. So that's the dynamic.
And what's the best thing to do? Do you leave him alone at those points? Or I'd imagine there's nothing you can say to bring him round.
I think it's the same with all of us. If any of us are having a kind of vaguely bad day, then we just let each other ramble on until they, you know, run themselves out. Tell
us about the next song which you're going to do for us. This is Liverpool Revisited.
It's a song written in its entirety by Nicky, and it's a song of victory. It's a song about you know, it's the campaign for justice for the victims of Hillsborough, and it's just about how they fought the entire establishment. You know, for such a long time, the entire British establishment, you know, they fought against them, and they never gave up. And they won. And that's a very rare thing. You know, it really doesn't happen that much. That somebody usually gives up, and usually the kind of like the establishment just, you know, closed ranks and just you don't get anywhere. But neither of those things happened. They just kept going and they won. So it's a song about victory for them.
As I wake to a sunset, the light dances on the Mersey, and I think of the 96 as the tears fall down on me. There is courage, there is pride. You can see it in your eyes. Fight for justice, fight for life. There are angels in these. As the night falls around me, I see joy and devotion. These times will never leave, like the rain on the ocean. There is dignity and pride. There is poetry and life. There are ghosts within these stones. There's a violence in these.
From Resistance is Futile. That is Liverpool Revisited. James is singing for us on the show this evening. So the ambition is still there to sell as many records as you possibly can and to be hugely popular. That was kind of part of the motivation, as well as, you wouldn't know what else to do if you weren't being in Manic Street Preachers. So the ambition's still there, right?
Still there, yeah, but kind of like it's in a remarkably different landscape to the one we started in.
Well, this is the thing, that music is just so... It's not as relevant, is it, as when you or I were obsessed with music.
That's
when
a very
we began.
blunt but true way of putting it, definitely. It's not a kind of a lifestyle anymore, I suppose. It's quite strange, say, I live in Cardiff. If a new restaurant is open, you'll see lots of 16 to 18-year-olds queuing to get into a restaurant. That queue used to be outside the record shops, So things have changed, yeah. They have. And, music used to be a lifestyle and you would belong to a tribe. And that's not necessarily the case anymore. So, yeah, compared to when we released the record, everything has changed, yeah.
Do you go to gigs? Do you go and watch bands now?
I do go to gigs, yeah. But kind of like not so much since I had a second kid.
Yeah.
So kind of like that's dropped off a bit, but hopefully I'll get back into it.
And do you buy music?
Yeah, I buy, records a lot.
And how do you listen to it? What's your home like? Have you got...
I listen to CDs. CDs are a very underrated format, I think.
Yeah, and you've taken a lot of care and attention. When I came in, there's the vinyl. I've just been given the vinyl.
Well,
and,
I haven't seen a finished copy yet. No, I haven't. No.
It's beautiful.
That is good.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Apparently, the tape cassette album is amazing too.
Yeah,
apparently.
that was given to me, and then it was taken away within a split second. They were like, "Here, this is for you." Oh no, you can't have that.
You've touched and seen the record before I did. I think Nick still invests a lot of importance in the actual visual image on the front of the record that sets the tone for everything.
Can you describe and explain the?
Nick found this photo session it was one of the last photo sessions that was taken of some of the last existing samurai in Japan. And of course, the photographer wanted to take their pictures because he wanted to document their demise, their end, the end of an era of the samurai. Well, number one, the picture is just beautiful. It's gorgeous. But number two, you can either kind of like interpret the look in the samurai's eyes as one of defeat or one of somebody still being stubborn and proud.
Resolve, I think.
And resisting,
Yeah.
And it's kind of, it really is hard to know which way to interpret the picture, Is it the look of defeat or is it the look of complete resistance still?
Beautiful, very, very beautiful indeed, as is the record. Can we just talk about fatherhood? As in a casual, how's it going? Because last time I saw you, you were quite tired. And we were talking about being at the school gates.
Yes, I'm a father of 2 young children. I've lived my life backwards, I suppose. I'm 49 and my kids are 6 and 2. Yeah, I've had to brush up my act at the school gates, I've had to shave a bit more and try not to wear my dog walking jacket everywhere. It's interesting balancing being in a rock and roll band and being the slightly hang dog looking kind of like father that I am.
Right, so you're going to do an old song for us now, and
Yes.
From Despair to Where. Thank you very much for doing this.
I write this alone on my bed. In every room in the house, this place is quiet and so alone. Pretend there's something worth waiting for. There's nothing nice in my head. The outer world took it all away. Awake with same speed in my mouth. I cannot tell if it's real or not. I try and walk in a straight line. An imitation of dignity. From despair to where. From despair to where. Open mouth crowds pass each other as if they're drugs. Down pale corridors of routine where life falls unatoned. The weak kick like straw till the world means less and less. Words are never enough. Just cheap, tarnished glitter. I try and walk in a straight line. An imitation of
From Gold Against the Soul from 1993, From Despair to Where, from James Steele Bradfield, who's in session for us this evening. Do you have feelings about old songs?
You definitely can have. There are certain periods where you're not so fussed on.
Yeah.
I mean, we've never had that thing. I think I've said it frequently. I say it without any spite, Obviously, Radiohead famously, don't play Creep much. We just must be just showbiz whores, because we love the idea of just playing Motorcycle Emptiness, Designed for Life, and it moving the crowd and then moving us back, We love the idea of just actually seeing that physical reaction in the crowd, because they've been waiting to hear that big song.
And why would you deny them that?
No, well, I do understand it, actually, because something like Radiohead, they're always trying to find another angle to their song. They're always trying to find another angle to their music. Whereas I'm still in love with rock music. I'm still in love with music in general. I'm still in love with trying to find the perfect, kind of rock pop song kind of thing. And perhaps I just don't have enough depth to actually want to swim outside of that.
It's too shallow.
Yeah, too shallow, definitely.
That's one of my questions. What about music he's still in love with?
It still happens about 2-3 times a year where something just moves me and I got to play it over and over and over again. Like it used to happen to me when I was like 12 or 16 or 18. The last 2 tracks that did it to me. Not the last 3 tracks that did it to me, actually. There's something, Nautilus by Anna Meredith, which is just a fierce, abstract track. And it really inspired me musically to do something that didn't sound anything like her, but I just played it over and over again. I think I heard it, first of all, when she was... it was the Six Music, festival when it was in Scotland, in Glasgow. Yeah. And it was just amazing. I'd never heard that track before, and I went and bought it. And I played it over and over again when I was driving. And then there was another track this year called Pain, by War on Drugs. That song, Pain, makes you understand the emptiness. It makes you realise that there's kind of hope in the emptiness. If you realise that... If you kind of analyse everything and you realise that everything is completely gone, or worse, that you can embrace the emptiness and find an answer in there. That's what that song does. It's amazing. And then Prisoner, the actual song Prisoner by Ryan Adams, just made me kind of want to float away on the Smithsonian cemetery gates. It's just beautiful.
You're such a wordsmith.
It's not, but when, a track still moves you, I just find myself listening to it on repeat 10 times over and over again.
So nice to see you. Always is. You know
Pleasure.
that. Well done with the album. It's called Resistance.